Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, I want you to close your eyes and picture a massive steel fortress, but it is not sitting securely on a mountain or deeply entrenched on land. It is a towering behemoth defying the unforgiving violent waves in the middle of a freezing ocean. We are talking about an environment where nature alone can tear ships apart, yet this machine dominates it. This is not just about thick steel armor or massive naval guns pointing at the horizon. This ship is equipped with a bleeding-edge artificial intelligence brain capable of detecting threats from across entire continents, and it packs teeth sharp enough to blast hypersonic ballistic missiles right out of the dark, freezing void of space. This isn't some sci-fi plot from a futuristic video game or a CGI Hollywood battleship. It is a real-world masterpiece of naval architecture that just hit the water. In a geopolitical theater that is rapidly heating up, this vessel is a game-changer. I am talking about one of the absolute most powerful Aegis destroyers patrolling the planet today, the ROKS Dasan Jeong Yak-yong, hull number DDG-996. If you follow military news or keep an eye on the Indo-Pacific region, you've probably heard of South Korea's highly ambitious KDX-III program. This ship is the second vessel in Batch II of that program, also known as the Jeongjo the Great-class. But before we tear into the mind-blowing specs, let's talk about the name, because in naval tradition, a ship's name carries its soul and some serious historical weight. Dasan Jeong Yak-yong was named after one of the greatest scholars, engineers, and reformers of the late Joseon dynasty. He was the father of the Silhak, or practical learning movement. During a time when his country was steeped in rigid, outdated traditions, he was a visionary symbol of embracing modern science, empirical evidence, and Western technology to build a stronger, more resilient nation. He didn't just write philosophy, he was a hands-on genius. He famously designed massive, innovative pulley cranes to construct the impregnable Hwasong fortress, drastically cutting down construction time and saving lives. So by naming their absolute most advanced destroyer after the era's greatest engineer and forward thinker, the South Korean Navy is sending a very clear, very powerful message to their adversaries and allies alike. This ship is the ultimate product of their nation's intellect. It represents their absolute highest tier of technology, built as an impenetrable floating fortress to protect their sovereignty in a dangerous modern age. Now, before we look at the jaw-dropping numbers, you might be wondering, who actually has the capability to build a multi-billion-dollar hyper-complex beast like this? Did they have to rely on the US to assemble it, like many allied nations do? The answer is a resounding no. South Korea built this 100% domestically. This is a crown jewel forged in the fires of Hyundai Heavy Industries, or HHI. Based in Ulsan, HHI isn't just a shipyard, it is basically the capital of the global shipbuilding world, featuring Goliath cranes that dominate the skyline and dry docks the size of small cities. This specific project was built on the rock-solid foundation of the original KDX-III program. Back in Batch 1, South Korea launched 3 Jeongjo the Great-class ships to flex their blue water navy muscles, proving they could operate world-class Aegis destroyers. But the world changed, with regional threats escalating daily, especially with North Korean missile tests flying higher, utilizing unpredictable hypersonic glide vehicles, launching more frequently, and boasting deadly accuracy. The South Korean military couldn't just sit still and rely on older tech. They hit the upgrade button and aggressively launched Batch II. The goal here was not just to make a bigger boat for the sake of bragging rights. The mission was to completely shatter the previous limits of ballistic missile interception. And most importantly, the goal was to rely heavily on weapons tech they engineered and produced themselves, effectively breaking away from long-term reliance on Western technology and securing their own independent defense supply chain. Alright, let's dive into the absolute monster specs of this destroyer. When we think of destroyers, we usually picture something sleek, fast, and agile, maybe in the 5,000 to 7,000 ton range. But if we look back at its older brother, the Batch I Jeongjo the Great, military experts around the globe already agreed it was incredibly massive and packed a terrifying amount of firepower. Well, for the modern South Korean military command, that still was not enough. For Batch 2, they bumped up the standard displacement to a staggering 8,200 tons. And when it is fully loaded with weapons, interceptors, and fuel, this thing shatters the scale at over 12,000 tons. Let that sink in. It is 170 meters long, almost 560 feet. Just imagine a 50-story skyscraper laid out flat on the water, heavily armed and moving at 30 knots. It is pure, intimidating scale that rivals World War II cruisers. But carrying all that weight isn't just about intimidating the enemy with a massive silhouette. That massive expansion in size is the crucial, highly sought-after real estate needed to house high-output electrical power generators. Modern combat requires immense electricity to feed the incredibly thirsty radar systems, and this extra space future-proofs the ship, providing a rock-solid foundation for a completely new, vastly deadlier arsenal, and potentially even directed energy weapons or lasers down the road. Beyond just the sheer size and heavy metal, the true heart and brain of this destroyer is its combat system. This ship is fitted with the Aegis Baseline 9.C2, an incredibly advanced, cutting-edge iteration of the legendary combat system. What makes this specific system so terrifying to adversaries is its BMD 5.1 or ballistic missile defense capability. In plain English, it is not just designed to fight other ships on the surface or shoot down low-flying fighter jets. It is explicitly engineered to detect, track, and obliterate intercontinental ballistic missiles fired from thousands of miles away. Picture an ICBM tearing through the cold vacuum of space at Mach 10, carrying a payload that could wipe out a city. This Aegis system can calculate that missile's trajectory in real time, launch an interceptor, and orchestrate a kinetic kill, hitting a bullet with another bullet in space, all while the ship itself is pitching, rolling, and slamming into heavy ocean swells. The massive AN/SPY-1DV flat-panel phased array radars, mounted on all four sides of the superstructure, can sweep the horizon for hundreds of miles, effortlessly cutting through electronic jamming and bad weather, processing thousands of targets in a fraction of a second. Absolutely nothing gets past the digital eyes of this ship. So why did South Korea go all out to build something this powerful and expensive? The answer lies heavily in the volatile geopolitics of the region. We all know about the continuous looming nuclear and missile threats from their northern neighbor, as well as the shifting power dynamics involving other regional superpowers. The ROKS Dasan Jeong Yak-yong isn't just a ship meant for routine maritime patrol. It is the most critical puzzle piece in South Korea's aggressive three-axis system. This national defense strategy is a no-nonsense approach to survival. It includes the kill chain, which is the ability to detect an imminent launch and execute a preemptive strike, KAMD for Korea Air and Missile Defense, intercepting anything that gets fired, and KMPR for Korea Massive Punishment and Retaliation, a doctrine assuring total destruction of enemy leadership if attacked. This single ship plays a massive, pivotal role across all three of these axes. It serves as the frontline shield, projecting a mobile iron dome over the homeland against a sudden rain of missiles. And at the exact same time, if push comes to shove and deterrence fails, it is a ready-to-fire platform loaded with cruise missiles, ready to strike back at enemy command centers or heavily fortified underground silos in a devastating, decapitating tit-for-tat retaliation. To back up that aggressive, iron-fisted national strategy, South Korea packed this ship with the ultimate futuristic arsenal, and they didn't hold a single thing back. The standout feature is the Vertical Launch System, or VLS, packing a total of 88 cells. Now, at first glance, keyboard warriors might point out that that seems fewer cells than the 128 cells on the older Batch I. But here's the kicker. It's not about quantity, it's about unparalleled quality and size. They aren't just using the standard American Mark 41 VLS. South Korea integrated their own state-of-the-art KVLS and the highly secretive KVLS-II technology. These new domestic cells are specifically designed to be larger in diameter, significantly deeper, and capable of withstanding the literal hellfire, extreme heat, and immense pressure of launching much heavier weapons. They are built to house top-tier long-range interceptors like the SM-3 and SM-6 to handle targets inside and outside the atmosphere. But the real trump card sitting in those tubes is the Hyunmoo 4-2 long-range land attack cruise missile. Nicknamed the Bunker Buster, this weapon packs unimaginable kinetic and explosive destructive power. It's designed to drill deep into the earth, penetrating thick layers of reinforced concrete and solid granite to crush enemy underground leadership bunkers to dust. This capability is the absolute pride of South Korean defense industry, perfectly blending world-class allied radar technology with their own devastating domestic offensive innovations. And if dominating the sky and striking deep inland wasn't enough, there is one more ace up its sleeve hidden beneath the waterline. I am telling you, this feature is a hostile submarine's absolute worst nightmare: the Hybrid Electric Drive, or HED, propulsion system. As we know, the ocean depths are a blind world where you have to see with your ears, using acoustic sonar. In naval warfare, noise is death. Normally, when a massive 12,000-ton warship runs on massive gas turbines, the violent roar of the engines, the vibration of the hull, and the cavitation of the propellers echo for miles underwater. It makes the ship a glowing, screaming target for any submarine lurking in the dark. But for the Jeongjo the Great-class, they changed the rules of the game. When they need to go stealth, conduct anti-submarine warfare, or hunt enemy diesel-electric subs in the shallow, noisy waters of the Yellow Sea, they can completely shut down the roaring, mean gas turbines. By switching to advanced electric motors to drive the shafts, the ship runs as silently as a ghost. This allows a 12,000-ton behemoth to creep up on underwater targets, deploy its own torpedoes, or quietly evade incoming enemy torpedoes before the adversary even knows they are being hunted. It is lethal in the sky, completely dominant on the surface, and a silent, stalking killer in the deep. Alright guys, let's take a close look at the spec sheet on your screen right now to recap exactly what makes this ship a marvel of modern warfare. Starting from the top, this masterpiece is guaranteed by the world-class HD Hyundai Heavy Industries shipyard, proving that South Korea's heavy industry is second to none. It falls under the Jeongjo the Great-class, or as it was known in its highly classified development phase, KDX-III Batch II. Moving down to displacement and length, like I emphasized earlier, it completely shatters the limits of what we traditionally consider a destroyer. Empty, it is sitting at 8,200 tons of cold hard steel. Fully loaded for war, it pushes past 12,000 tons on a sprawling 170-meter hull. This isn't just a ship, it is practically a self-sustaining mobile military base, projecting immense power and ready to fight anywhere on the globe for extended periods. Next is the absolute core of the ship, the radar system. It leverages the legendary AN/SPY-1DV paired with the massively upgraded Aegis Baseline 9.C2 brain, specifically featuring the BMD 5.1 function. That specific code right there, that is the holy grail of naval defense. That means it has the god-tier computing ability to calculate, track, and snipe hypersonic ballistic missiles right out of the exosphere before they ever re-enter the atmosphere to hit their targets. Looking at the weapons in VLS, it is armed to the teeth with 88 vertical launch cells. The true beauty here is the strategic mix of the American Mark 41 standard and South Korea's own highly advanced KVLS and supersized KVLS-II systems. They have packed it with an insane, versatile variety of missiles tailored for any threat. You've got SM-2s, SM-3s, and SM-6s forming an impenetrable high-altitude air defense umbrella. You've got domestic Haesong missiles for sea-skimming, sea-sinking duties, and the absolutely brutal, earth-shattering Hyunmoo 4-2 to completely flatten strategic land targets and deep bunkers. And the propulsion system is just as futuristic. They went with a COG-ALG system, combined gas, electric, and gas, creating a hybrid electric drive. It combines the raw, brute force of gas turbines with the stealthy efficiency of electric motors. It gives the ship massive mechanical power to chase down fleeing targets at high speeds, while still retaining the tactical advantage of being able to run silently on electricity to evade underwater detection from enemy subs. Finally, we arrive at the bottom line. The number that might give taxpayers chills is the massive $1.2 billion price tag per ship. It sounds like the budget for an entire national mega project, right? But let's look deeper into what that money actually buys. For $1.2 billion, South Korea didn't just buy a massive hunk of steel that floats or a quick flashy flex of military muscle for a parade. They bought a mobile, highly survivable continental air defense dome that can sail through any storm, avoiding stationary target vulnerabilities like land-based THAAD systems. They bought an ultimate deterrent that will give opposing generals and hostile regimes sleepless nights if they even think about pressing the launch button. And most importantly, they bought guaranteed national security, immense diplomatic leverage on the global stage, and the precious time and resources needed to elevate their own domestic defense industry to stand proudly on the absolute front lines of the world. For me, the arrival of the ROKS Dasan Jeong Yak-yong isn't just a leap in naval engineering, it's South Korea definitively declaring its status as a modern naval superpower, ready to drop the hammer and defend its waters, its people, and its sovereignty with the absolute best technology on the planet. But what do you guys think about this 12,000-ton monster of the sea? Do you think the jaw-dropping specs and that sky-high $1.2 billion price tag are worth the ultimate security and power projection they get in return? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I read every single one, and the debates there are always fascinating. If you love deep dives into hardcore military tech, naval strategy, and defense economics like this, do me a huge favor. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with a friend, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an upload. I'll see you in the next breakdown. Until then, stay safe. I'm Meek, and I'm signing off. Catch you in the next one.